In this video, I'm going to talk to you about regens, and a regen is any time you bring the yo-yo back up, but instead of catching it, you whip it back out to regenerate the spin so that you can continue doing your tricks. Now there are 4 basic or common types of regens, and those are the ones that most players use in their routines. Those are somewhat easy to learn and they all follow a predictable pattern, so I'll teach you how those work. And then there's one that kind of breaks all the rules, but it has some huge benefits, but it's also a lot more difficult to master. So I'm going to cover that one as well, and you can give that one a shot if you want to. So the 4 basic types of regens, like I said, they all follow the same type of pattern, and we talk about this a little bit in our flips and regen video, which is a 2-way video. So if you haven't watched that, it might be helpful to check that out, but I will cover a lot of that in this video as well. So when you're doing a regen, of course you want to bring the yo-yo back up, and anytime the yo-yo comes back up, the string is going to be on one side of the yo-yo. So whenever you do a regen, you want to move your hand around the opposite side of the yo-yo, and that will allow the regen to work in a way that's really natural and easy. What that does in effect is anytime you do a regen off of a front style throw, you're going to end up in a side style throw. And then if you do a regen off of a side style throw, you're going to end up in a front style throw. And that's just kind of how these work. And so players often use these types of regens to pair side style and front style combos together without taking time to catch the yo-yo. Now, when you first start doing these regens, the 4 basic types, they all work pretty much the same. And all that you want to do is when the yo-yo is coming back to your hand, you just want to move your hand in the direction that we talked about on the other side of the yo-yo, but out of the way of the yo-yo so that it can start to swing around your hand, and then you want to push your hand in the direction that you want the yo-yo to move. And as long as you do that, pretty much all of these regens are going to work. The other thing that'll help as you're doing these so that the yo-yo doesn't wobble quite as much or the yo-yo doesn't go too much off plane is that when you're moving your hand around the yo-yo, you want to keep the string coming off your finger and the motion of your hand perfectly in line with the gap of the yo-yo. And the more in line you can keep it with the gap of the yo-yo, the straighter and more accurate your regen is going to be, and the smoother the yo-yo will come out of the regen. So first let me show you the 2 front style regens. The first one, all you're going to do is you're going to do a regen on the inside of your wrist, just like this. And again, if you're familiar with 2-way, that one is going to feel almost exactly like an inside loop. And then the other front style regen is pretty much the same, except it's going to go on the outside of your wrist, just like this. And that is going to feel a lot like an outside loop. And then the same thing is true for your side style regens. One of them is on the inside of your wrist and the other one is on the outside of your wrist. So again, if you start with the breakaway and then you do your regen, the one to the inside, you're still going to face forward in line with the yo-yo. And you can see that that just goes right over your hand just like this. That feels a lot like hop the fence. Now this other one is a little bit different compared to the other 3. Those 3 make sense and they have kind of parallels in looping if you're familiar with those types of tricks. This last one, which is the one that goes outside your wrist in the side style, this one feels a little bit different, but it might actually be the most useful regen out of all of them. So with this one, what you're going to do is you're going to pull the yo-yo up, and again, you're going to move your hand away from the yo-yo, and you can see that instead of pushing your hand down, you're really just twisting your wrist like this. And that twisting motion allows the yo-yo to go down, and it sets you up for your front style throw. One of the things about this regen, and you can kind of do this with all the regens, is instead of pulling the yo-yo up directly to your hand, if you kind of aim it to the outside of your hand, then that'll help to swing the yo-yo around just a little bit. And you can see how that works really well. As you may have noticed, there is going to be some turning of your body involved, and that's because if you want to go from a front style to a side style on the same plane, you're going to have your body turned in a way that you're not used to for at least one of those throws. It's pretty intuitive. You'll get used to that pretty quick. Now, the other thing that you may not have realized is that all 4 of these, they can be paired with pretty much any bind. And that's because any bind, it will bring the yo-yo back to your hand, and as long as you're paying attention to which side of the yo-yo the string is on, then you can use that bind along with one of these techniques to do a regen. So we've got tons of videos on binds if you learn those and want to learn how to pair them with regens. then pretty quick you'll find when it's better to use the inside regen or the outside one. And it all, again, it's one of these things, the more you practice it, the more it'll just kind of come together for you, and you'll see how it works. Now those are the 4 basic kinds. The last kind of regen, like I said, it breaks the rules, and that's because when you do this regen, you're not going to perform it on the opposite side of the yo-yo as the string. You're going to actually perform it on the same side. And technically you could do this in place of any one of the 4 regens, but there's one in particular that works the best, and that's with the outside regen coming off of a breakaway. And as you can see, if you perform this, I'm right back into a breakaway, and the yo-yo is spinning the same direction, so I can keep doing tricks. Now when you think about this one, you know, some of the regens I described as like an inside loop or an outside loop, this one is exactly like an outside loop. And what I mean by exactly is when you do this, the yo-yo actually flips over in the exact same way that an outside loop flips over. Now, if you think about looping tricks, a normal looping yo-yo is really small and narrow, so it's very easy for that yo-yo to turn over as you're doing your loops. Wider yo-yos that you'd use for 1A, it's a lot more difficult to get it under control and to keep it on the same plane. So as you're working on this particular regen, you may find that sometimes the plane changes. So the yo-yo was originally facing this way, and then after the regen it started facing this way. The better you get at it, the more you can control the yo-yo, the more you can keep it on plane. Another problem that you'll probably run into is instead of the yo-yo being upright, it'll be really tilted, sometimes horribly tilted. One of the best things that you can do to practice this is to actually practice just going from a trapeze, do an outside loop right back into a trapeze with a responsive yo-yo. Once you get better at that trick, then you'll find this regen is actually kind of a breeze. Finally, there's a couple of things that are true of all these different regens that you might want to keep in mind. The first one is, as you're practicing regens, especially early on, the slower the yo-yo is spinning, the slower the entire regen is going to be, and so it's going to make it a little bit easier to learn. The other thing is that when you're first learning regens, especially if you're not keeping everything lined up the way we described, the yo-yo can come off really, really wobbly. The nice thing is, as you start to do tricks, yo-yos will naturally smooth themselves out, so you don't really need to worry about that. And then the third thing is as you're practicing these tricks, you'll notice that sometimes the regen with the yo-yo, it's going to come really close to your hand, sometimes it's going to be really far away. There's advantages and disadvantages to doing it either way, but it's really all about the feel that works for you. So practice with the yo-yo close to your hand, practice with it far away, you'll find out what works. So those are your 5 types of regens. Like I said, the 4 basic ones, they'll be pretty intuitive. It won't take a lot of work to get those down. The 5th one, that can be really challenging, but as you can see, if you can go from side style to side style and regenerate your spin, then you can just continuously do the types of tricks that you want to do. So those are regens. If you want to give yourself an even bigger challenge, try pairing your regens together with the 3 one-handed laceration style binds we teach in that video.